Hello my lovely witches. I have a little video for you today on more books because I know how much you like seeing books, and I have a few that I haven't really shown you yet. So we're going to just get stuck right in. This one is my Sigil witchery book. I literally just use this to work out my sigils. It's what I make my designs in for whatever reason. I don't use Sigil witchery on a grand scale. It's not a primary part of my practice, but I do like to use it for wood burning on wooden spoons, for example, is a really nice way to add some magic to my daily magic. I'll use it to make lino cuts or stamps or that sort of thing. I have a couple of little sigils. This is my personal sigil, Corrigan Moon Leopard, and I have that in that little frame on my altar. On my Collage altar, I have my Collage sigil that I created, again in a little frame. This is a really lovely way of doing art witchery if you don't feel confident in your ability to draw. You can still create beautiful little artworks using sigils. So I'm not going to go through how to make a sigil because there are countless videos out there on sigil witchery. There are books on it, so you can find all the sigil witchery information elsewhere. I'm not going to repeat it. So that's that little book. This is actually a really cute little book that, believe it or not, is made from elephant poo. It came from Pakistan, and there are basically factories there where they take the elephant poo, which has a lot of fibrous material in it, and they turn it into paper. And no, it doesn't smell like poo. How many times can I say poo in this video? Okay, don't be childish, Alexandra. So another thing that I have yet to create the actual folio or container for this book in inverted commas. This is some art cards about symbols that crop up quite a lot in my art magic and what they mean to me. So these are just some index cards with some paint and some collage. Snake on skulls and bones. Clouds, eyes. I do a lot with eyes. I'm fascinated by the eye shape. I'm not quite sure why, but it comes up a lot. Stars and pentacles, flowers, spirals. I've spoken about spirals being a big symbol for my goddess and in Celtic culture in general. So that's a big thing that comes up in my magic. This is upside down Miss Jane, is the Humsa. Leaves, moons, which I will be showing you a whole lot more moon artwork in a minute. Crystals. So this is a project that I'm probably going to add to as I see more symbols cropping up. One that I've noticed just recently coming up a lot are mushrooms and fungi and toadstools. Shells are another one that I'm seeing a little bit. So I'm probably going to add to this project, and as I said, I'm going to create some sort of receptacle for these cards, whether it's a box or a folio, or I'm not quite sure yet. So that's something that is yet to come, so I may share that with you at a later date. Then we have this little ring book of tags here that I think I have shown you before, and if not, you might have seen it on my Instagram at least. So these are literally just tags that I created when I was working through my 12 months of working out my names for the moons, because they are very personal to me, very personal to my area where I live. A lot of the moon names that I see on the internet are, well, most of them are Northern Hemisphere, and they just don't relate to me. So I did a 12-month period of writing down everything that was happening in my area. So I made this little ring book, which sits on my altar. But I also made this little book, which I'm not sure whether I've shown it to you before, but if so, here it is again. And I did this with watercolor paper and just some stamping, some gold pen, watercolor background, and these are little small filter papers that I've dyed to represent each moon. This is a book that I clearly use. This is the yellow moon's covered in wax. Must have been sitting open on my altar and has got a whole lot of wax on it. Anyway. Go through them all. This is where we are at the moment. The trees are all bare of their leaves, at least the deciduous ones. We have plenty in Australia that are not deciduous, but the ones in my backyard that are, and in the area that are all bare of their leaves now, or just about. I think my apple tree still has a few, but by the end of this month, I would imagine they'll be all gone. So there you have it. That's that little book, the companion to this one. And as I mentioned earlier, and this is one that if you follow me on Instagram, you probably have already seen this little flip through. This was a really fun little project. I absolutely love creating artwork involving moons, which is why it appears in my little art card section as well. And this is an old photo brag book, I think it was called, that I've decoupaged with tissue paper, and this is some spray painted and spattered paper, and this is a sticker. So I've created this little book of moons. And these are all artworks created on playing cards. These are like a large playing card size. And just moons. Little book of moons. This was so much fun. I'm almost tempted to make a new one just because I enjoyed it so much. And lots of different materials in here. I've got some metallic sprays, and this was done with, I think, a wax resist on paper. This is some pen work. This is a sticker and some paint, collage, dyes and watercolor and inks, paints, more collage, pencil work there, some stamping, some spray paint and gel pen, more collage, more paint, more printing, more stamping, watercolor and pen on a scrapbook paper background, more stamping. This is lots of found ephemera, more splattered painted paper. Little book of moons. So as I said, I'm quite keen to do another one of those. This one is the one that I mentioned in my Prosperity Altar Tour video from some time ago. And I said that I would take you through it at a later date, because at that point I was trying to hold my camera and film and I couldn't take you through it. So it's, again, this was a little found book that I actually took the pages out of and just used the cover. And this is a little wooden star, collage and paint, and this is some texture paste and metallic paints and what have you. And this is a little sort of miniature book of prosperity. So this has got some little pockets in it and things about what abundance looks like to me. Big basket of avocados always makes me feel rich. Got some other little cards with a money drawing oil and my aura of prosperity recipes. And we have, I turn it this way, this is a miniature altar that can stand up. So, and it's got little bits that's actual money, believe it or not, and these are fake paper money to represent money. This was from a cup of yogi tea, which says prosperity is within us. This little card, which sort of felt prosperous to me. It says wine is the symbol of cheerfulness and gaiety. Again, things that make me feel rich, prosperous and abundant. And then we have this little fold out here. This is the goddess Rosmerta. And another pocket with some cards in it from various decks. This is from the Goddess Oracle deck. And these are from the Winter and the Moon created this deck. You can find her both on YouTube and on Instagram. And this is her Sigil deck, Sigil mandala deck, and it's just beautiful. And so these are all things that fit with the theme of abundance, manifesting, prosperity and strength. And so I can pull those out and use them for meditation, sitting at my prosperity altar or my regular altar. Either way, they are tucked in that little envelope there. And that's it. That's my little book of prosperity that just sits on my prosperity altar. So the last one that I'm going to show you, if I take these little guys out of the way, is one that I've been working on for about 5 years, I think. It's just a collage book, and I've just included spells and ideas that I want to try that I haven't necessarily tried yet, or that I might use as the basis for my own spells. So not things that I wanted to put into my book of shadows, but things that I wanted to get out of my scraps of shadows. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, then go and check out my big magical book tour video, because I talk a lot about that there. So it's lots of just paint and mostly collage. Good way to use up scraps, whether it be scraps of paint from a painting session and you've got paint left on your palette, scraps of paper and ephemera that you've got lying around, and yeah, just ideas of spells. Most of these are from other people, so they're from books, podcasts, YouTube videos, Instagram accounts, conversations I've had with people, and just thoughts and ideas that I might have had. Books, definitely. Most of these are from books. That would be the local devil children in my street that are very, very noisy. My apologies. Some of these are sort of found papers and papers that I've used. I did a project many years ago now, probably 10 or more years ago, called the Disintegration Collaboration, which was where you take papers and put them out in the weather. And so you are collaborating with the elements. It was a really lovely, very magical experience, though not designed as such, to commune with the elements and bring those elements into your artwork. And I've just recently tied up a bundle of papers again and hung them outside where they are thoroughly rained on today, and producing some interesting effects. So that one that was back here, this one's one that was part of that. This too. I just get really interesting effects running through them. This one was near some coloured paper, and so some of that came through, and this is, you know, made interesting effects. So I'm excited to gather those papers again in a few weeks once they've spent their time in the weather. This is a page obviously I haven't done nothing with yet. I might not, don't know. This is actually fabric. So as I said, great for scraps. Great for, you know, you can create a page when you don't know what you want to do. Just scribble and paint and get some emotions out, or just get creative without a purpose. Get zen with it. And then I come back in later and write in what I want to write in. Hello, Godric. Godric was just saying hello. This is a wonderful sounding spell. Chocolate fondue spell. Mm-hmm. This is made with a sort of Rorschach technique where you splatter the paper and then fold it in half and pull it apart, and you get some really interesting effects that way. Great for magical scrying, that. Agreed. Yep, Godric clearly agrees with me. No, Godric. Yes, I know you're thinking of stepping onto the altar, and in the middle of all of this is another one of those sort of Rorschach papers. This one was actually done using nail polish. I will use anything as an art supply. This is a strip from some colouring in that I did. Some stickers. Anything goes in this book. Anything at all. Tiny washi tape. This is some sort of background paper where I was doing something else. This was the instructions for something in various different languages that I've just pasted a piece in and then drawn on it with some pencil. Didn't do much on this page. This is again, this is overspray paper. Again, you get nice effects from some of that background paper that you're working on. It gives it a second life. This would have been cleaning off a palette with some paint. Piece of doily. This was actually a talisman idea that I had in a dream. Haven't made them yet. I'd like to. How to make some incense cones. There's a bit of watercolour going on there. Cut paper. Some marbling. Marbling's a lot of fun. Stamping. More stickers, pages from books. This was from a poster. Colouring pages, old maps. And that's where we come, obviously started writing something in there, but I don't know what it was. And we're pretty much at the end of what I've actually filled in. But you can see I've actually worked on some of these pages in advance, ready to write things in. So I hope that maybe gave you some fun ideas on what to... Apologies, now we have cat fights going on. So yes, what was I saying? Hopefully this has given you some inspiration to use different materials and ideas in your books, different ideas for creating books, different ways of creating books, and you will hopefully have enjoyed it, and I can see you in the next video. Goodbye, my lovelies.